Hey everyone, in this video I'll be breaking down all 13 subclasses in Solasta 2's early access. There are 6 classes with 2 subclasses each, with the Cleric getting 3. There is 1 returning subclass from Solasta 1, as well as 1 new entirely one here. Now, we do have returning favorites like the Shadowcaster Rogue, and one thing I love about this is it brings its level 13 ability down to level 3, letting it do sneak attacks on its spells. So I'll do a quick overview of all 13 subclasses, and then I'll get into a breakdown of each of them. So for the Rogue, we got the Shadowcaster and the new one, the Scavenger Rogue here, having the serrated edge. The Paladin gets the returning subclass, the Oath of Judgement here, coming with their own Judgement spells, and the new one being the Oath of Liberation. The Wizard gets the Court Mage, which is a really fun one because they're kind of like a bodyguard, they protect their teammates, and the School of Ruin, which is a new one coming to Solasta 2, focused on damage and destructive magic. The Cleric, being a rule breaker, gets their 3 subclasses. All of them are returning from Solasta 1. Now, I'm really excited to see the Elemental Cleric come, but we do have the Battle Domain Cleric, the Life Domain. If you played Baldur's Gate 3, this is the only subclass you'll know from that game, and the Oblivion Domain, which I really like. They can bring their allies out of a death save. Now, the fighter just is always going to be a strong one, but 2024 rule set loved the fighter. They gave them a lot of buffs. This has the returning commander here and a very interesting Aether Warden. This was originally pitched as the Earth Warden. What this does cool is that it's a half caster that uses its constitution score instead of intelligence. This is crazy because you can be both tanky and a great spellcaster. And with the Sorcerer, they have the returning Mana Painter here alongside the new Star Child. Whenever you use sorcery points, you blast them with stars. Now, if you're curious in seeing like a base level overview of all the classes, I did post a video yesterday where we went through all of them. It ended up being 30 minutes long just to get through all the information. So for this, I'm just gonna be talking about the subclass features that they get. And we're first starting off with the fighter because I really want to talk about the Aether Warden. But first, the commander, the returning one with their gruff authority. Now, this one gets some proficiency in social skills, which are interesting in how they work in Solasta 2, since you have all 4 of your party members in dialogue at all times, so that if you have someone that's better at a certain skill, they're going to end up using it. But this is great because it gives the fighter now proficiency in 2 of the skills: athletics, intimidation, investigation, insight, perception, persuasion, or survival. And you can add your strength modifier to any intimidation or persuasion checks. So that's pretty solid. We also get the rousing shout here. At 3rd level, you can do a shout within 30 feet. Advantage on their next attack roll. So it applies to you and anyone in that 30-foot radius. This is pretty crazy because it's also amount of times equal to your charisma modifier, and you get it back on short or long rest. The fighter is just absurdly strong, and I would say probably the best class in this game. Yeah, the commander just kind of ends up being good at both social skills as well as combat buffing. So very great stuff. But the one that I'm very interested in playing is the Aether Warden here with their Aether Warden spellcasting. I honestly can't wait till this gets to higher levels. So right now we're up to level 4. This gives you 2 cantrips of the wizard spell list. Whenever you gain a fighter level, you can replace one of these cantrips at any time with another wizard cantrip. So it's great if you're going into like a new section of the map, you want to change up the damage type or something like that. But alongside those 2 cantrips, you also get 3 spells. So you get to choose from the list here. So Poison Spray, Acid Splash, you can pause if you want to see them. The Annoying Bees, which is great for breaking concentrations, giving the target disadvantage on those. Ray of Frost, which will hinder the target. Shadow Armor, giving temporary hit points for 10 turns. Chill's Touch, which stops the target from healing. Dazzle, bonus action to stop them from using reactions. Shadow Dagger cantrip. Shocking Grasp, Firebolt, classic. Light, and the True Strike, which now converts damage types into radiant damage. For the spell selection, you get Burning Hands, False Life, Mage Armor, Magic Missile, Featherfall, Charm Person. Chromatic Orb, it's newly changed, it has a little bit more damage but requires you to hold an orb. There's the Hideous Laughter, Protect from Evil and Good, Ray of Sickness, Ice Knife, Color Spray, Comprehend Languages, Identify, Shield, Thunderwave, Sleep, Long Strider, and Expeditious Retreat. So it gets the exact same spell list that the wizard would get, although they're only a half caster. You also will ignore any somatic components needed for spell casting focus too, which is nice. One thing that's really nice about this class too, although it doesn't have level 7 yet, is that they get a boost to their strength equal to the spells that they're concentrating on. So if they hold a level 2 spell concentration, they get a +2 to their strength, really cool. And also at level 10, which again is not in the game, they get the ability to heal themselves by casting spells. This is interesting because they had the Spellblade in the previous game, and the Spellblade kind of feels like an Eldritch Knight, and they gave this its own unique feel, and I think it is really cool. And the fighter itself is strong too. Now, I just want to quickly talk about the Paladin changes because they're quite large. With the 2024 rule set, I know a lot of people are upset about this, but hear me out on this. So the Paladin can no longer do their Divine Smite like crazy. They have to use a bonus action to use the Divine Smite, much like their other smites like Searing Smite. This changes the Paladin from just hoarding all their spell slots to just use Divine Smite to now having to think a little bit more strategically. But they also get a really nice change, and they do feel like they're the strongest class alongside the fighter because they also get Lay Hands now as a bonus action. So you can be a combat medic, and I've had a lot of fun now with my fighter frontlining with Second Wind, and then having the Paladin be able to use Lay Hands on themselves and choose the amount of hit points they want to regain. Like if you want to get 10 hit points back, you can do it on yourself with a bonus action. So they have some pretty crazy sustain too, and they can still Divine Smite. You got a choice between them. But yeah, it is kind of a nerf. A lot of classes did get nerfed in the D&D 2024 Player's Handbook, but that's just the way it goes. Now, the Paladin subclass here, the Oath of Judgment, is returning from Solasta 1. This gives us the Judgment spells. What's nice is we can actually see what spells are going to get added to this as we continue through the levels. So level 3 gives us Guiding Bolt and Inflict Wounds. Level 5 gives us Heat, Metal, and Silence. And then level 9 gives us Fear and Haste. We also get the Weight of Justice, which is great. So you can use one of your channel divinities to make your target roll a charisma saving throw. Take an additional force damage equal to your paladin level and half if they save, and become restrained for 1 minute, or that's 10 turns. The target can make a charisma saving throw at the end of each of their turns to end the effect. And charisma saves, as you guys probably know, are not the easiest things for targets to do. So this is pretty strong. So yeah, you can blast away with your channel divinity and just lock up a target there. But you also get the Purge Corruption. As a bonus action, you can use your channel divinity to end one condition on a friendly creature within 30 feet of you. This can be blinded, poisoned, charmed, deafened, restrained, paralyzed, stunned, and frightened. Now, previously, the Weight of Justice used to require a bonus action. Now it's free, so you can use it on top of your Divine Smite. So that is a nice change. It also, at later levels, not right now in the game, has the Aura of Righteousness, which will boost up your teammates' weapon attacks. This does not work on magic missiles. The Oath of Liberation here is the new one. This gives us the Liberation spells, giving us Expeditious Retreat and Sleep at level 3. At level 5, we get the Pass Without Trace and Silence spells, giving you a bit of stealth. And then level 9, Counter Spell. Woohoo! Love that. And Dispel Magic. You also get a pretty powerful ability, the Blinding Castigation. So you can use your channel divinity to blind an enemy within 60 feet of you that you can see for 1 minute or 10 turns. At the end of each of its turn, they make a charisma save to end the effects. Again, that's not always the easiest thing for targets to make. And a target that cannot be blinded is immune to that effect, obviously. So blind, obviously very powerful because that can set up your other attackers and also make your team a little safer. But you also get the Slip Away feature, using your channel divinity to make all friendly creatures other than you within 30 feet invisible until the end of your next turn. The invisibility ends if a creature attacks or casts a spell, if it casts a spell. This is great if you need to protect your teammates because you just pop this and they got invisibility. Just want to make a little note here that invisibility is not currently adapted into the game, so they just get blur at the current moment, but it's coming, so you'll expect to see this change as early access comes along. Now the Sorcerer is interesting. They get innate sorcery now level 1, which gives them a boost to their spellcasting, but it's kind of like a rage for them. But this is about the subclasses. So Mana Painter spells. They get Color Spray, Bane, Acid Arrow, little typo there, and Calm Emotions at level 3. Call Lightning and Wind Wall once they hit level 5. Level 7 gives Conjure Minor Elementals, and 9 gives Conjure Elemental and Contagion. Now this class did get reworked from its Solasta 2.1 appearance because there are some changes that would make multi-classing really powerful with this, so I can appreciate they made some changes here. But now at level 3, we get the Mana Shield. Whenever you cast a spell of the first level or higher, you gain temporary hit points equal to 3 times the level of the spell slot used. This makes this a lot tankier of a caster, and one of the coolest features is their mana drain here. So on a melee hit, deals 2d8 plus your sorcerer level force damage to your target. You also regain sorcery points equal to half of your sorcerer level. Once you successfully hit a target, you must do a long rest before you can use this main action again. So mana drain, pretty cool stuff. You can just literally blast away at a target that hits you and get a little bit of a benefit back from it on top of the mana shield. So they are actually a kind of a tankier version. We'll likely see the Draconic Sorcerer get added as it was in Solasta 2 or 1, but we'll have to wait and see on that. I may do a future video breaking down what's coming in Solasta 2. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. And the Star Child, the newest kid on the block here. Star Child gives us the Bless, Magic Missile, Aid, and Scorching Ray spells at level 3. Those are incredible spell selections there. And Bless obviously being really nice to have. There's going to be more spells added to be determined. They don't have this all fully listed out as of yet. But as mentioned at the start of the video, Shooting Star is a really cool ability. Whenever you cast a spell with meta magic and succeed the attack roll or the target fails the initial saving throw, they are also hit by a number of small shooting stars equal to the amount of sorcery points used. Each dealing a 1d4 plus 1 force damage. If there are multiple valid targets, the shooting stars all hit one random target. Basically, this is like a magic missile that pops off from your spell, so it's just really nice. Not yet, but at level 6, they would also get the ability to give an advantage on any d20 roll. So they got some pretty fun choices and abilities, but I do think the Mana Painter ends up being the strong choice now with their ability to get some pretty crazy sustain here. And one thing that they got at level 3 that has been moved to level 6 that makes a Mana Painter so powerful is that they can use their Charisma modifier for any saving throw, which obviously is going to be good when they are built around Charisma. So I expect to see the Mana Painter being a very powerful class. We'll have to wait and see because we don't really know what all is going to get added to the Star Child, but the Mana Painter is a good choice. Everybody needs a Cleric. Now, the Cleric got 3 subclasses mentioned with the Life Domain, which is where I'll start. They get their Life Domain spells, so, you know, the Aid, Bless, Cure Wounds, Lesser Restoration, Mass Healing Word, Revivify, Aura of Life, Death Ward, Greater Restoration, and Mass Cure Wounds. One thing I do want to mention about healing in this game is that healing is a lot better. There's a few reasons for this as well. So battles in this game are typically going to run a lot longer than your typical Baldur's Gate 3 combat. Like you can get literally up to like 10 turns sometimes. The other thing is that the heals are now much more efficient with them going from like a 1d8 to now being 2d8 at level 1 spell slot. So much better at healing. One thing I also do want to mention is the Paladin is a pretty good healer too, so you don't really need to run a Life Domain when the Cleric does a lot of good things. They also get the Disciple of Life. The Life Domain is all about this. Whenever you heal a target, they're going to regain hit points equal to 2 plus the expended spell level additionally on top of that. And you also get Preserve Life. Your Channel Divinity restores 5 times your Cleric level hit points divided among your targets. So this is really good because obviously as you continue to level up, this is getting stronger. This is like a boring Cleric. They heal. They're good at it, but I like the other choices, like the Oblivion Domain. This gives us spells such as Inflict Wounds, Sleep, Calm Emotions, Ray of Enfeeblement, Remove Curse, Vampiric Touch, Banishment, Blight, Cloud Kill, and Contagion. They also get the Gatekeeper here, which heals a dying ally that you can see within 30 feet of you to 1 hit point at the start of their turn. This can be used a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier per short rest. You will have your teammates go down, especially if you're playing on the hard difficulty. It happens often. Passive. Any ally that is within 30 feet of you will have advantage on their death saving throws while you're conscious. You will have advantage on your own death saving throws as well. This is really good because you can have some bad rolls. It happened to me. I started combat off, someone critted my fighter, dropped him, and then he failed his death saving throw. It happens. It's kind of how D&D plays out, but this helps out with that. You also get the Herald of Pain. So you get the Channel Divinity to do a 2d8 plus your Cleric level of necrotic damage to each hostile creature within 30 feet of you. You also have disadvantage. The target will have disadvantage on attack rolls and ability check for up to 1 minute. Half damage and no disadvantage on the Wisdom save. And they will repeat the saving throw at the end of each turn, trying to remove it. So it's a little bit more of an offensive focus Cleric. One thing I also do want to mention is people always like to pick Life Domain for heavy armor proficiency. The Cleric got a nice change in 2024, which now lets them choose at level 1 if they want to have martial weapon training and heavy armor. So you can select just a level 1. This makes some of the other choices a little different. But the last subclass we got here for the Cleric is the Battle Domain. So you get some fun spells like Magic Missile, Shield, Acid Arrow, Shatter. Level 5 gives you Fireball and Haste. Level 7, Fire Shield and Stone Skin. And level 9 gives you Hold Monster and Insect Plague. Pretty good choices there. Obviously getting Magic Missile and Shield early on is really good. You also get Divine Fortitude, gaining 3 times your Cleric level and temporary hit points once per long rest, giving you a bit sustained. Armed and dangerously ready, armed and ready, you can use the somatic and material components of a spell with a weapon or shield in both or one hand. So this is nice. You don't have to hold something. Typically when you start with a Cleric, you're gonna have your shield in your other inventory and then 1 mace, so you have your free hand. This will now let you do it just with your weapons out, giving you a higher armor class and you won't have to swap. You also get the decisive strike, which when you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can use your channel divinity to deal additional 2d6 plus your cleric level force damage, and on a constitution save, the target will become incapacitated till the beginning of your next turn. So yeah, this is my favorite cleric subclass. It's strong, it does everything it can possibly do in combat. While the life domain obviously is a better healer and the Oblivion is great at support, kind of like a death domain, the battle domain is just fun. Objection, Fireball. Now, there is no respec in this game, so I had to run through the game a second time to be able to get access to level 3 abilities, which is quite a bit into the game. But I do want to talk about these because I really like the wizard here. Now, I'm not typically a wizard fan, and this one makes me a fan, the court mage. So you get proficiency with shields, and you get the shielding fighting style, allowing you to use a reaction to protect a teammate within 5 feet of you, so someone that's beside you, who is being attacked, you have a +2 to their armor class. This does use your reaction, so just a heads up on that, but it gives you a fighting style and a shield. The spell shield, however, is the best feature of this. So you can create a spell shield around yourself and a friendly creature you can see within 30 feet. The spell shield will have 3 times your wizard level hit points and absorbs damage for the creature it protects. If the shield gets reduced to 0, it'll break and then the target will take the remaining amount of damage. And the shield will also disappear after 10 minutes, which is quite a bit of time in this game. And it's like 60 turns, and then if you use this feature again, you can also use this power number times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. So that's pretty good. Honestly, quite strong. I'll quickly go through level 2 spells as well, because people are probably interested in them. You got the Acid Arrow here, which it does a 44 of acid, and it'll spray out and do a 2d4 of acid on the next turn. There's also Life Drain, which will do a 2d8 of necrotic damage and give temporary hit points back. Blindness, which will blind the target on a con save for 1 minute. Magic Weapon makes a normal weapon into a +1 bonus, which these weapons are very rare in this game. Ray of Enfeeblement, which will give disadvantage on strength-based checks and subtracts a 1d8 from their damage rolls. There's also the Blur spell, which will give disadvantage on attack rolls against the target and immune to the effect if they got blind sight or true sight. Dark Vision will give the target dark vision. Scorching Ray, fan favor, 2d6 fire damage on 3 targets, attack roll. See Invisibility, as the name implies, see invisibility. Enhance ability, as the name implies, this will boost up and give advantage to an ability check of a particular ability, charisma being a good one. Hold Person, one of my favorites, paralyzes the target, negated by a wisdom save, and this means you get some free crits off against them. There's also Shatter, which does a 3d8 of thunder damage on a con save. Constructs will have disadvantage. Yeah, I just want to quickly talk about those because it's a big part of the classes here in early access. But School of Ruin, the new one, gives us destructive magic. When you roll damage for a spell you cast, you roll additional damage for each die that we roll. If the spell creates multiple projectiles, this feature applies to each projectile individually. So Scorching Ray and Magic Missile go hard with this. Yeah, this ends up where the other wizard is more of a protector. This makes this one more of like a nuker or like high damage class. It is really good. You also get the Ruination Savant. 2 wizard spells that deal damage and add them to your wizard spellbook for free. In addition, whenever you gain access to a new level of spell in this class, you can add 1 wizard spell that deals damage for free, and you must have a spell slot corresponding to the spell's level. So yeah, you get free damage spells. Pretty good stuff. I still think the court mage ends up being the better choice. Getting this protection is super cool on a wizard, which typically that's not their role. So yeah, they're great at utility. However, if you like damage, the School of Ruin is hard to go wrong with. So pick whichever one of these sounds better to you. If you need more defense or offense on your team, that's the one that'll fit best on your team. Now, I personally like any type of stealthy spellcaster. I think it's a really fun, type of playstyle. The Rogue, Shadowcaster, better than ever. They got a really nice change here. So they get their Shadowcaster spellcasting, which lets them learn 2 wizard cantrips of their choice and 3 spells from the wizard list. They will use intelligence for this, so you'd want to have them high intelligence. Shadowcasting is their big feature again. This came from level 13 in Solasta 1 all the way down to level 3, making this feel infinite times better. You deal damage with a spell requiring an attack roll. You can use your sneak attack as if you were using a finesse or a ranged weapon. All the rules apply to sneak attack will still apply to you. So yeah, you can now sneak attack with your spells. I love this. You don't have to wait until literally like the end game to be able to be effective with this. This lets you do things like a Ray of Sickness sneak attack or a Chromatic Orb one. It's pretty fun. So yeah, this is definitely a subclass to keep your eye on. It also at a higher level will get additional bonus action teleport equal to 25 feet at multiple times per day. So they do get a nice dodge and much changed from Solasta 1. Now the new class here, the Scavenger. This gives us this serrated edge. Once per turn, the first time you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can deal an additional 1d6 slashing to that target. being per turn is amazing because this gives them really good sustain. While the Paladin gets obviously their Divine Smite, you're getting an additional 1d6 of damage every single turn. In a game like this where combat drags out sometimes, like literally like 10 turns sometimes. So getting this much extra damage is huge. It's like a 10d6 if it goes to 10 turns versus the Paladin running out their smites pretty quickly with only like 3 of them. So this is actually a pretty good feature. And also you've got their sneak attacks on top of all that. So solid damage. The Rogue also gets the Haggler, so you and your party can buy items for 10% less and sell items for 10% more in shops. That's pretty good because it's applying for your entire party. That's one thing I do really appreciate with this game, is that some of the features get spread throughout your entire party. So it's my choice between these two subclasses. Go with the Shadowcaster. It's really fun, although the Scavenger with the Serrated Edge is honestly solid sustain, as I mentioned. I just have a thing for spellcasting sneak attackers, which I think the Shadowcaster does well in Solasta 2, but let me know your thoughts on these 13 subclasses. Let me know also if you want to see a video on the future subclass that will be coming to this game or any other Solasta 2 content, and hope you guys all have an incredible day. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you all in the next one.